Welcome to the Game Line. Scotland has a very interesting history with rugby union. Despite the sport being far smaller than football in the country, they've been able to produce some absolutely brilliant teams over the past few decades. Furthermore, from a financial and viewership standpoint, rugby has been growing quite significantly. So let's see what this team can produce in 2024. Gregor Townsend's Scotland team is one based on possession and attack. They want to play expansive and attractive rugby that can match the best in the world. Today, we'll be looking at what makes the Scottish team so formidable. We'll start with their amazing attack before looking at their approaches on defence, the set piece and kicking. Let's start with the basics of their attack. They typically use a 1-3-3-1 structure on attack, with their pods usually attacking off of the first receiver rather than the 9. Scotland has amazing continuity and distribution, and that allows their attacking threats to be spread out more across the pitch. Scotland plays more like a traditional rugby team in that their fly-off, Finn Russell, is a huge part of their game. A lot of modern teams will shift the playmakers' responsibilities to the centres as well, particularly if they want to play quickly. But Scotland tends to be more rigid, in that Finn Russell tends to be the instigator of the attack the large majority of the time. Townsend recognizes the wealth of talent that he has and the amazing attacks that can be launched off of him. Russell's distribution is second to none. Furthermore, they also have a lot of good distributors in the midfield as well. As a result, they use width a lot more as a core philosophy in their attack. When we look at their passing stats, we can see this idea at play. They pass more than every other team that they played against in the World Cup, even if we account for possession. While their pods as a whole position themselves wider, their individual support runners tend to run closer to the ball carrier. This allows them to have a higher number of phases and thus a higher number of attacking opportunities. Another important link for Scotland could be Blair Kinghorn, as he adds yet another deadly layer to their attack. During the World Cup, Kinghorn regularly linked up with Russell in the midfield. While the fullback coming into the attacking shape is not a revolutionary idea, the fact that Scotland have two world-class distributors that link together means that the ball can move from one side of the field to the other with blistering speed. On defence, Scotland uses an in and out defensive system, commonly also known as the drift defence. They are more likely to use the touchline as the last defender to put pressure on their opponent's attacking structure. They will only use the rush defence if they feel like the opposition is about to break the defensive line. It's a more safe approach that allows them to wear down their opponents over time. This approach does come with one drawback, however. Scotland don't have the biggest of players, being that their attack is the most important part of their game and that it requires their players to run many meters during the matches. They tend to be smaller than their opponents. This makes it quite easy for their opponents to dominate them in contact. This, in combination with their defensive system, means that their opponents can have high continuity and make lots of meters. So, what's Scotland's answer for this dilemma? It's what happens at the ruck itself. Scotland will choose to keep more defenders on their feet, so it's not necessarily the jackling threat. Perhaps ironically, they'll try to be really aggressive on their feet and counter ruck. There were quite a few instances at the World Cup where they managed to drive over their larger opponents to win a penalty or to initiate a counter-attack. Now let's look at what might be the weakest part of their game, the set piece. Statistically, their set piece isn't great. Their scrums tend to be pretty mediocre and they have a big problem when scrummaging against good opposition. Their line-out is their best set piece. The reason for this is because they use the maul as a solid platform throughout the game. They tend not to score many tries from the maul, but it gives them a solid platform throughout the match to link up their great distributors. They do have one weakness at the line-out, however, and that is that there are plenty of opportunities for their opposition to steal the ball in the air. Scotland's jumpers tend to be shorter than their opposition counterparts, so getting clean ball in the air can be a real challenge for them. Scotland don't really rely on kicking as much as other teams. They will obviously use it in certain necessary situations, like when they need to exit, or when their opponents initiate a territorial battle. But they tend to avoid pressure or territorially based kicking. When they do kick, they tend to be more attack-based kicks, used to create good attacking opportunities or to score tries. Overall, I think Scotland are in a great position going into 2024. It's going to be absolutely vital for them to keep building momentum as they look to turn the national side into a force in World Rugby. If you like this video, then you can watch some of my other previews for the teams. And if you'd like to see more tactical analyses going forward, then please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.